Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Other Side of the Wormhole. What didn't make it in the podcast? Or, as I like to call it, the lost thoughts of the But Why Though, the podcast. Basically, what we do here is I kind of talk about all the stuff that we either missed, left out, forgot, didn't have time, or just some tangent topics about each episode that we do here at But Why Though. Today we're going to be talking about Stack Up, and it'll be episode 9, and we basically kind of a charity thing that we've been doing, or we started a little mini-series. It's called we like to call it the Missions That Matter. We kind of came up with this name because we want to do something. I guess we'll start from the beginning before I go with like how we got the name, which coming up with names can be very, very challenging, surprisingly. You wouldn't think they would be, but they are, actually. Maybe it's not for everybody, but I know for us, coming up with names, we suck at it. If anything, I feel like we need to go find somebody that makes names. If you've watched this before... Sorry, I'm getting my notes ready for this time. If you haven't seen this before, I carry a little notebook. They make fun of me. I don't care. Excuse me. But, my train of thought there for a second. But names, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know, names for us seem to be hard, but I don't know, maybe some people come easy. Us seem to like to put a lot of thought. And then apparently my music is a little too loud, so we're gonna adjust that a little bit more down. Is that a little better? So if you've checked out the other episodes, if you had noticed we had Hearthstone going on the side image, we replaced that with basically a nice little promo image of our episodes. We figured that'd be better, because I mean, it wasn't like I was playing games anyways for the most part. Obviously, we're on Twitch TV, but I mean, we're talking here. We're doing like a podcast, per se. Put this down a little bit more. Is that better? With the music? So now we've kind of adjusted it around. So basically we'll have this nice little flowing melody in the background for the music for everybody. I don't know, I find it kind of soothing. It helps me talk a little bit. Back to what I was saying. So basically we decided we wanted to come. We were just kind of thinking along. And so we thought about stuff. We wanted to get involved, I guess, more with some charities and things that, like, I guess technically matter. Obviously, but why though the podcast, why things matter, and pop culture matters. And so we started, and we go to a lot of conventions. If you haven't listened to any of our recaps, we have plenty of them on there. And then we talk about a lot of these charities that we meet and some of the people there. And so what we decided to do, we wanted to make a little kind of mini series where, like, once a month, we select an organization that we can either, in this case, we were able to interview the CEO and the founder, the Machuga, for this, and then we have him come on and talk about their actual organization. We're planning to do a few others. Obviously, that was one for month of May. We chose the military one because obviously Memorial Day is found in May. It's also military appreciation, and so we figured it kind of felt right to do it that way. So I felt it good. We also had met him before at PAX South, and so it would PAX South. So we figured, why not meet back up again? And so that's what we start to do. And so we sent him an email. So he said, yeah, sure, great guy, why not? And so he came on, and we were able to book an interview with him, which we were able to do. And so, also, for those of you who have not watched any of this before and why I'm looking at things, this is on live on Twitch TV for like interaction and whatnot. So I'm kind of technically looking over for chat, looking at everything else. So these things will be edited a little bit for either such thing, because last time, some of the other episodes we had a storm, so we had some drop frameage, so we had to, manipulate it and whatnot. But for the most part, this is live, so if you see any notifications pop up or anything, or I stop and I'm reading something or hit a question, that'd be why. So yeah. Remember, all these can be found on our YouTube channel, But Why Though, and our website, butwhythoughpodcast.com. Hell, back to what I was saying. So we were able to book an interview for him. And he came on. He was actually sick, apparently. We said it was bang, but he was a trooper. He did. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of talk about, not only a little bit about their organization, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more about, the military and, the overall interview itself. Because, can't always, military, charity, those are things you can't just talk about in 45 minutes to an hour. Or in his case, he was gracious enough and nice enough to give us 30 minutes. So, yeah. So, hold on. But, so I am checking other stuff because, we have to do social media and everything else, like I said. And if you don't know where we are, we're found on Instagram, we're found on Twitter, we're found on Facebook, and so forth, usual ones. But why though? So, the interview. We kind of started out with these interviews we decided to do. We want to just kind of, let them talk. And we try to do this format, I think we mentioned it there, kind of something more like, I listen to a lot of Star Talk by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I really like their format that they do. And so we kind of chose that format, or at least we attempted we were going to try that format. And it actually turned out, at least I feel, pretty good. Like it. So essentially you have a side interview, or an interview at a different time, and you're able to let the person talk. And they're able to talk, and you're not really conversing, so you're not really taken away from them, because we really want to put the spotlight on him and his organization. So we have him talk, and he just could say what he wants. We had a few questions lined up, obviously, but after that, everything was good. And so we took this interview, about a 30-minute interview, and then what we did for the episode is we decided to just cut it into segments. So basically, then we'd play the question, let him answer, and then we were able to actually then give our thoughts and perspectives. And so that way, one, if people just wanted to listen to him talk and learn about the organization, they heard it straight from his mouth, and they were good to go. And then if they wanted our thoughts about it and everything, then, we could do, we can bring that up. I really like this format. I hope we keep this format. It's kind of format that I came up with, so I guess I'll smile at that. Terrible smile, I know. But we might change it up depending on how things go and how people come on. Because it depends on how everything lasts. But anyway, so we kind of start off with your most generic questions, like, why'd you do this? What's, unique about yours and everything else. And I guess his answers were great, and I guess it was a really cool experience. I know how I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's just kind of I really liked it to do it. But before I get into his question answers, I kind of want to go somewhat in the background of the military type thing of also because as much as we felt it for because of May and Military Appreciation Month, Memorial Day. Another reason, why me personally, obviously some of our other hosts have links as well, not just me, but felt that this would be a good episode and a really good organization. So both my parents were in the military. They were in the Air Force. I have basically 3 brothers, 2 of which are in the Army. I think one just got out about a year ago, and another one that's currently in the Navy. So I'm the, loser military child, as they put it. I think I went to school over military, but pretty much everybody else in my family went in the military. So I'm the outlier here. I feel like sometimes when a family gathering, they forget what I do. And they forget they went to school, and they're like, wait a minute, what branch were you? Oh yeah. So sometimes, you can feel a little bit, but no, it's something that it's been in my family for a while. I have uncles that also went in the military as well. And so it was something that I thought really would affect not only all of them, for me on a personal level, because growing up in that type of culture, but then obviously the extent, I guess, not really, I guess somewhat extended family, and I guess also on to friends and friends as well, because I mean, when you're in the military all the time, you make military friends, I guess they say. I mean, you grow up on bases, so you see the people on base, so you withdraw. I mean, when you go to parties, or your parents have friends over, whatnot, I mean, probably a very, very good chance probably they met them through work. That's kind of how adulting is. You meet a lot of people through work. Not everybody's job's like that, but that one is. And so, another big thing is, my brothers also like to game a lot. I believe we talk in the episode. I have one who games all the time. Never seen somebody game so much. My wife probably games more than I do. Another one that games quite a bit. The other two do. They're kind of more busy. And I guess they actually have, wives and stuff, them little things. Just kidding for people out there. But, yeah, so they're not as big in gaming as what they used to when they were younger. But it's definitely something they enjoy. And as much as they enjoy it when they're at home, to see how much I've heard and when I've talked to them and got stuff when they actually have to deploy, how much they game, it's crazy, I guess. Because, I mean, you kind of knew it was, people game, people do stuff, but I think one of my brothers, he played every single MMO and maxed out every character he could possibly think of in one deployment. And you're like, wow, what are these people doing? But then you think of reality of, essentially you're over in a war zone, or you're over in some area that's not home for you. You don't have your friends aren't there, your family aren't there. I mean, you have your military family, your brothers and sisters per se, but that's it. So, I mean, you do your normal stuff that you do through everyday life, whether it be like patrol or, logistic type things, or getting stuff there, or cargo, or even just, I don't know, just whatever they decide their profession is. And you do that for your standard 8 hour, 9 hours, however much, and then that's it. So let's say you're up at 6 with even at 8 hours, you're done by what? 2 o'clock, 9 hours, 3, maybe even 4. So now from 4 to what? I mean, if you're kind of sitting around, you don't have much to do. I guess you could technically go out, but I mean, sometimes you can't do that. And I guess in my brother who's in the Navy's perspective, it's a submarine. What do you do there? I guess you could play tag. I don't know how safe and secure that'd be, but yeah, so you end up playing games. Lots of games. And so, yeah. So that's another reason why I really enjoyed this one, because not only did it hit the military aspect, personal level, but it hit the gaming aspect. And I mean, as a gamer myself, I enjoyed it. Enjoy, obviously what they do and everything else, but then also the fact that I have relatives that are also gaming and whatnot. Not to say that the other hosts didn't have anything, but I just knew I tend to have quite a bit. And that's kind of like what the culture I grew up in, for the most part. And, so you move around, obviously, stay place to place, and you just get used to a variety of things. So saying all that, let's kind of move into, I guess, the interview, per se, and like kind of how we talked about. So when we pull up some of the questions first, because somehow I did not get them up immediately. I'm sorry. I had this stuff and then it kind of closed on me. I want to get the actual questions up to make sure I get this stuff correct, because that's kind of the point of this as well, because I want to make sure anything that we went over in our episodes, or we did, that if we happen to do something incorrect, I want to make sure that we correct it. Obviously we have our show notes that hopefully you guys read or see to correct ideas, but also just in case we just happen to miss and we don't even notice. So the first question we asked him was why was Stack Up founded? Or why was Stack Up founded? What's its mission? And so, yeah. And so he went through, he talked about the mission of being deployed, kind of like how I'm talking about. And then he talked about how they used to receive the best thing, probably the one thing we've taken away, I don't know if good or bad, from this interview is cans of yams. Apparently, he is not a fan of yams. Come to find out, my mother is also not a fan of yams. And she told me apparently she has received yams as well. being deployed over plenty of times over the years. She does not like yams. I don't like yams either, so I don't know. I'm trying to figure if anybody does like yams. I'm sure somebody has to like yams because they'd sell, and I know apparently people love them at Thanksgiving, I believe it is, which is an interesting holiday to say the least, but we'll leave that for another episode. But yeah, nobody likes yams, or at least not that I know of. But just the receiving of cans of yams and whatnot, and just these stuff that they like send over, and I guess I've seen it before where they ask for like these drives. I guess I've seen food drives where people grab their green beans or, as said, yams, corn, whatnot, send off, and that's great. But I guess being sent over there, it's kind of like they get supplies and food, not all the time, obviously, but I mean, I'm sure they get some food over there, and I mean, I don't know. Yams are cool, but I guess unless I was like dying, I wouldn't want to eat yams. I'd come up with something better than that. And I guess the way he talked about it is just people were sending over their, I guess, not very bad, but they're like trash and their dented stuff instead of just like putting actual thought into what they were sending. And I think that was a big deal of like why, I mean, just from my personal opinion, for what do you think? Like another, maybe why he founded this, because it's cool. Like, yeah, I just sent you whatever I fed you. I didn't need this stuff. 50 cents, sent it, cool. Not even a monetary value per se, but just like no thought whatsoever into this. Because I know one of the things that's been big, and I know, just like, I guess over the years, just like, I guess when I was able to talk, when people were deployed all the time, just being able to talk to them on the phone, or if you wrote them a card. And those are actually huge ordeals. People don't think it is, especially at this day and age where people have their cell phone and text, and they receive a phone call and they freak out and might throw their phone thinking it's broken. But when you don't talk to people you know or love every day, then getting that phone call, about it. I think the one funny thing is one time my mom happened to be deployed at some place, some base, I'm not sure, and I was laying there in bed, and I get this phone call, and it's literally like, and the number just goes 7777777, and I was just like, what the hell? I was like, I think Jesus is calling me. What the hell? And I happened to answer the phone. It was her over some like the recom thing, but that was just kind of like, found a way. But a little tidbit there, but yeah. But I guess just the lack of thought that some of the stuff they read. He talks about when they get romance novels, and it's like, okay, I know a lot of people, they don't read books. They definitely don't read romance novels. Yeah. Just even thinking about that, you're like, I mean, I don't even know how many you guys read romance novels. I mean, reading's good. I read quite a bit, but I don't read romance novels. It'd be a little weird reading romance novels, I guess. I feel like speaking of reading, I don't know how much I read these days anyways. I feel like I read and write all the time, but then when people ask me, like, when's the last book you ever read or something, I'm like, I couldn't even probably tell you. Actually, I probably can tell you, which is sad, but it's more because it's academic-wise than an actual just sat down and read. But it was a book on numbers and randomness, which if you ever get a chance, you should read a book on randomness and make yourself feel sad and realize that basically it feels like everything in your life is nothing but a coin flip, per se, depending on how many sides of the coin there are. But anyways, yeah, so they were sending, romance novels, yams, dented cans. No, that's not what. It's not even just like what they want per se, but it's just like not even any thought. And when you're giving some gaming thing to me, whether even if it's a game that they don't even like or feel like people don't like, it's a thought. And I guess it to me, like, I have games that I've kept for over the years. Like, I'm not a big fan of selling games, because where am I going to sell them to? They rip you off anyways. The hell with GameStop. Sorry. Nope, not a fan. But just any game, I'm trying to think now, make sure I'm correct on this. Any game I've received over the years that's been a gift, I've just never been able to sell that or do anything with it. Whether I beat the game, I actually even enjoyed the game. It was just the fact they brought something they knew I enjoyed games. They knew something I did not have at the time. And they took a chance, even if it would just happen to be out of a crummy $5 bin or however they got it. Just something I just do not give my gifts of games away. I mean, there's probably some of them that I've only played for maybe an hour or two. And sometimes I feel bad and I try to play, but then sometimes it's hard because I'm not interested in playing that particular game. And it's not mean that bad, just my thing. But I'm not getting rid of it. I'll keep it. Keep it forever. Unless, I mean, I think some only times maybe they've been gotten rid of have been like maybe the consoles from like 2000 or something, like maybe a Dreamcast game. Or, of course, they had Napster back then. Or maybe, Super Nintendo or then the NES, everything. Maybe those games are gone because obviously the system's just been through its life cycle and everything else. But as far as like, I guess from like, since me being older and stuff, like as far as Xbox games, if I have the Xbox, I'm pretty sure I have the game somewhere. Now they might have been disposed some other way, but definitely not of like on purpose or a particular choice of going thing. So I think just that thought of what the thought process of people actually putting thought into stuff of like what would these people actually enjoy and what would actually be beneficial. I think the other thing that I found fascinating, which I think I mentioned a little bit towards the end of the podcast, he didn't really touch on it a lot, but I know it's there, and I guess I've just known it a lot more dealing with people coming back from being overseas so much, was the mental health, how it turned from like a luxury thing to where, hey, we're going to send a bunch of like 20-something-year-olds a bunch of games because they happen to be in the desert and it sucks, to now all of a sudden we're treating people who are 34 PTSD or even just giving them mental health support. Whether it be playing with them, the virtual reality they type to do, some games that kind of try to help with therapy, or any types of games like that. I thought was just, I think that's not thought about as much. I mean, I think it's getting bigger, I want to say. I know, like, I think I talked about the Wii and other types of like movement games of virtual reality can be used for like physical therapy, just for working muscles. I know I was using like old homes and nursing homes for the longest time, but the mental aspect of playing games I think is unheard of, because I mean, I guess technically all people think about when they think mental part of games is, oh no, violent video games are making serial killers, even though I'm almost 100% sure it's been debunked. But that, just the whole how it helped people was crazy, and you see it, I guess, just in everything. And I guess we talked about guild playing, and people don't think about like, well, mental health, why is that guild playing? They're like, well, because some of the people have been in isolation a lot, and I guess you don't think, or even when you're playing single player games, I mean, yeah, you could get lost, because I love playing some single player games like an open world game, and you're just by yourself and you're not in reality, and you don't have to think about reality. You're in your own fantasy world. You can carry a sword and shield. You might even ride a dragon, depending on the game. And you're like, yeah, this is awesome. But in those cases, as much as you're away from reality, in your fantasy, you have no interaction. And so, I guess that's split. But then with like these guilds they talk about, is they force this interaction. Not per se of like rudeness or so, because they're like team oriented, kind of, I guess, almost like the military, where you have to rely on these people. I mean, obviously not serious as a life or death, but you have to rely on these people to complete some of these tasks and goals. And I think just having people know that, hey, I know you don't like to communicate, and sometimes you're on your own, but just knowing that, hey, if you can at least give us enough communication, we'll be there for you, to even if it's just a small task of beating this dungeon or beating this boss, that we're all in this together. I think helps a lot of people. I think it's used in a lot of things. They've been using it, I think, looking at partial studies on just like, I guess like antisocial type things for like kids at younger age. Now, obviously, they're having problems when how they learn to be like where they're really well adapted online, but then you throw them in like a social setting where they have to actually do it, like, I guess technically in public and thing, they seem to have some struggle in their social skills there, which they're trying to find out and look at studies that way. But I guess for people who just like, just don't want to do anything else, or they're like have that state of mental, that mental state from just being gone, or just having, problems with what they've seen or deployed all the time, having that can't be that bad. Probably very helpful. Another funny thing, I think I put it in the episode, but the fact that like I literally brought this up when I messaged my sister-in-law would be how it is. my brother's wife. I don't know how family thing goes, but the first thing he said was he deployed and he bought a DS, and that was just, I thought it was hilarious. Not necessarily hilarious, but just like the fact that, like, point proven right here, this stuff matters. So yeah, the next one was like, what makes it different from other military charities. He went into the whole, like, I guess, a personal connection to the cause, because he said he was an avid gamer and whatnot, but then he said not many in the game space as well, because, I mean, you know, a bunch of other, we talked about the hams, I'm sure there's Wounded Warrior type ordeals. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a lot of veteran affairs, which necessarily aren't charities, but they help veterans, and they're probably more of I guess, a program set up for veterans coming back, more so than actual any charities or anything. But yeah, and then he went on to go about nerds are winning the war, and then I guess not in the gaming space, which was crazy. One, I guess it was funny because he talked about, I'm not sure if it was in this question, but at one point he talks about how they started bringing people back for concerts and comedians and whatnot, and I'm like, well, I understand that. My mom got to watch tons of people. She met Drew Brees at one time, and because they go overseas, and then, I mean, obviously he's still interconnected, but then they had like they had Kid Rock, I guess, pre-Kid Rock, before he went Looney Tune with his country singing stuff when he was actual rock star. But he did a concert and whatnot out there, so she heard him and met him stuff. And I thought of that because, like, you know, they bring out like these, I mean, people to play in comedy shows. Comedy shows might not be too bad depending on who you get, obviously, but I mean, just I guess the connection with the younger generation of some of these, like, you know, we bring out an old band, they come out there, and I'm sure they mean well and they do well, but I mean, to me, if you brought out somebody that's, like, you know, playing, I'm not gonna, not to be mean, but I mean, I don't really care to listen to that anymore. I don't really need concerts anymore. I don't really need, or even want, you know, I mean, I guess obviously NFL players and like NBA players that go overseas and all that thing, I mean, I'm sure that's cool and they do good. But I mean, even though my mom, she looked like that one lady, just like, I'm at Drew Brees, I pretty much know he's an NFL quarterback, but that's about it. You know, because she watches football, no, but she don't follow that stuff. I'm sure that I've said that other people do, but yeah, it's kind of the same aspect I take of when they like bring out, you know, some old band that comes out there. I don't even want to throw anybody in the bus, but I mean, hell, Kid Rock these days, they bring Kid Rock out there, and people are like, who's Kid Rock? I don't know. So, did my music cut off? But now, here we go. Can't be listening to music now. I enjoy this music. I feel it's very soothing. Found this, thought it was great. And I think it's better than you guys staring at the logo than staring at the just the her screen show and hope whether I'm gonna play or not. There will be no playing. Me talking. I think it's a lot better. It works that way. But yeah, so the nerds are winning the war, you know. People are playing on computers. People are playing games. I mean, they're doing things like that. Especially the way they're doing the aspect of, I guess they're turning some of these, like, the drone culture and, like, I guess so much, tanks and other vehicles, they're really ran off of, like, Xbox controllers. And it's crazy, because they're like, video gaming for a long time has been a military tactic. People don't want to admit that, but yeah, for a while there, this whole violence in video games and people getting all mad, but nobody wanted to say the military's putting a lot of money into video games. When all these war games with Call of Duty was coming out, yeah, there was military games being designed to recruit people to join the military. Like, oh, these guys are great. They were pumping money in. They set these things up as in like almost actual combat training situations for people to play video games with to do. And like, this guy is really good. Not just because they're good with, I mean, obviously your action, but the situational awareness of playing the things. There's so many training simulators. Yeah, military and video games been a lot closer related than people wanted. I guess, unfortunately. No. Depending on how you feel. So a bunch of stuff for a while. They pump millions of dollars for recruitment and other stuff from video game space. So, yeah. That's definitely something that we could probably totally get into that's been crazy that people just don't think about. Especially, it just used to drive me crazy. People are like, violent video games, something horrible for our children. I'm like, really, the U.S. Army's over there recruiting people right there in the booth next door while you're promoting, as they're promoting their new shooter video game. Where's the outrage? Didn't think so. The next question, what are some programs you run for the vets? Because obviously everybody cares about the vets. And so, I mean, he goes into the supply crate, the air assault programs, and their stack programs. I'm probably not going to get so much into those because, one, they're obviously on their website. We talk about them all. And I will say the air assault program I thought was really cool. I mean, not that the other ones weren't, but I think the fact just being able to give people experience, because as much as you can get things, and that's cool and all, but obviously, yeah, but having that experience, you just can't take away. Like, your game might break, your system might break, might be lost in customs, whatnot, but having the experience to be able to go places and, like, some of the stuff you're talking about that are just truly unique, that you're not going to get anywhere else and nowhere else, and that's just one of a kind thing, to where no matter what happens, you'll always have that. The stack program's cool. I hope anybody basically hit up Adrian. He was at I believe it was Adrian.R at StackUp, I believe was the email for him starting in El Paso. I'm kind of cheering him on. Hopefully he does well with that. Kind of excited to see how that goes and whatnot. I know it's taken a little while for him to get going because there was nobody there, but he's still trucking along. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully one of these will be able to come back and like do. I guess obviously technically I'm kind of doing the recap stuff or rewind or going over, but look back at that one as well and see how he's going. So hopefully anybody from El Paso is watching this, or anybody close, or even anybody anywhere if they feel wanting to get involved, should check those out because this should be doing. So I think he said about the vet run for vets and whatnot, and I think that goes into like the whole, I guess obviously people that come back home more per se, and almost seem to be a more mental health type thing, and I think that kind of hits on the guilds that that I was talking about earlier, and we talked about it in the episode, as well as the mental health stuff with the VR that they do, and just like the actual support of everything, not per se thing. I learned what Humble Bumble was. Sorry, I was a little off, but I was just kind of like following. Humble Bumble, I did not know that really what that was, but sounds like a really awesome program that they were actually able to get sponsored by for that week. And I'm sure it sounds like they do a lot of cool things. Never heard about it, but it seemed pretty interesting. Definitely check it out if you don't, and whatnot. So we're gonna move on. Obviously we kind of talked about the next one was like how can people get involved. We kind of went over that with like the whole stack program, and this is the main one I think for not just charities I guess, but for anything in general, but mainly charities, whatnot. A lot of this seemed like literally time and effort. I'm probably doing this stream, I don't even know how many people are watching this, checking it out, but literally they have people on all day on Twitch putting content out, and they may only have 1 or 2 people watching. Sometimes they have more depending on the streamer. The fact that they're out there just giving their time and willing to do that. The only thing I can say is the last time I tried to watch them, unfortunately whoever was doing had massive frame droppage, and it started giving me a headache, and I feel bad because I was actually interested in what they were playing. But yeah, but I think they also do a good job with theirs, which is crazy because they are definitely variety since they have multiple streamers, not just variety in who's on there, but a variety in what they stream. Because I've seen anywhere between AAA games like Call of Duty, I guess Fallout, to basically Hearthstone, which I guess for me, Sports Dan is kind of like big, but not necessarily like a big game that people are dropping, getting tons of money for. I've seen pretty much almost any game you can pretty much think of being played on there. Even some of the small little like games. I think like Elite Dangerous, I believe, is a sci-fi game. I know DJ Knight, who's actually ex-military, plays it all the time. He streams it all the time on his, but I think I've seen it on theirs as well. So yeah, they have a definitely variety between small and large games and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. So I mean, yeah, so a lot of stuff they talk about is just the effort to put forward, whether you're big, small. I liked how he mentioned the whole. Said we kind of talk about a lot of stuff in the episode, which is why you should just listen to it first. Because if I repeat myself, I apologize. But sometimes just need to hammer it home. But the whole ordeal of like, I'd rather have $1 from 1 million people than $1 million for one person, I thought was great. And I'm sure he'd take $1 million for one person. I don't know who wouldn't, but we get the point. And I think it's a great concept to go with for sure. Because what they look at here, it seems to be a community, which is a lot of things, especially in gaming, seems to be a community. I think it's another reason why it's great that they do this whole type of thing. I mean, heck, we're on Twitch, which is a community. Been to TwitchCon. Definitely about community. Everything on here, community. So, I mean, community's been a big aspect people are starting to, like, I guess, push towards. Whether it be work, leisure thing, travel, I mean, just doing stuff with other people. Which is crazy because it seems like everybody hates people. Hates each other. I mean, I'm not a fan of people either, but for some reason, I want to be around people every now and then. I guess it's just a human thing to do. So, yeah. So, yeah, let's move on. Yeah, he talks about, we'll go back before we get to that one. I do like the, whole, damn it. Trying to get used to this as well because I'm used to having my OBS on one side and my screen on the other, and I actually had a screen capture, so I'm not actually used to being able to, like, oh my goodness, I can use my PC, or I say PC, my potato laptop, and actually be able to, like, look at things. I actually like having to write. That's why we did it this way, for me to get more information, so I'm not just like looking down the whole way about my notebook and everything. Because that seemed to be the tendency. Obviously, I look down to be able to like follow my notes, and that's how we do it. But if you ever watch me talk, I feel like I'll talk like on the thing. I'm like, bam, with the pen, looking down, like, bam, checking it up there. But oh, now I lost my train of thought when I go off. See, this is why I did this too, because I seem to tend to do that. I don't know, I've had problems or something. But anyways, it was just, I kind of go down these tangents and I start looking at things and I end up on some totally different topic than what's even being discussed at all. It's kind of how I found when I mentioned this whole, what's his name? Rob Gibson, that had PTSD, where they're studying he's just studying his brain doing VR, which I thought was crazy. Kind of cool, per se. I don't know. They feel, but it's cool, I guess, you get to see like what he's doing with his brain research and whatnot. But I can imagine like playing games. I'm sure it's always cool, and I've always wanted to do that. Just watching neurons and neurotransmitters in your brain just light up. I think it's the coolest thing, especially when you start adding certain things, whether it be imagery or games or just even like pictures of people. I guess that'd be imagery, or just like music in general. Just watching the imagery of your brain light up in the different. Well, you see they're looking at your like cortexes and other lobes and whatnot, and see what lights up per se, to see how the brain works. But just seeing, I guess, how the colors look is cool. I mean, obviously it's a heat. I think it's a thermal spectrum gradient that they do. Obviously, the more of the different colors, the reddish and stuff it gets, the more its brain's more active. It's kind of like quote unquote heating up, I believe is how it works. But it's just a cool sight to do. If you ever get a chance, look around with that. That's pretty cool to see. I've always wanted to do that just with my brain. Just be like, or just with anybody else. Be like, hey, I'm just going to total up pictures of random people I know and see what my brain does. Because then because I don't think your brain can lie when it comes to that. You may be able to pass a polygraph test. You may be able to do other things. But you hold that picture of somebody and your brain lights up, obviously they mean something. Your brain doesn't light up, I'm sorry. You can say what you want, but your brain don't lie. And maybe it does, but technically in some cases you can trick your brain, I guess, but for the most part for that, no. Yeah, anyway, back to the thing. I did like the 91 percentile number he gave out, which I can't even think what it's called, but basically it's money per supplies. I think it's amazing. The grade level, I'm pretty sure, is in the A's as far as charity-wise. Yes, my music is on a loop. I enjoy this. It makes it simple, easy, but that's what it is. But 91 percentile. It's just, I think it's just fantastic. Because I mean, we talked a little bit in the episode about what it means and how it does, but there's been a huge problem. Maybe not a huge problem per se. It might have been overblown, but it's definitely very skeptical, and it turned into one of the first things that people ask. Well, what's your number, your ratio? And having a 91 percentile is pretty damn good. So, very impressive by that. And I think brought it up too, but I guess unfortunately the dark side they talked about was fundraising, and that's not sucks about charity. I think it's why it's been a hard thing. I mean, you have to basically sell yourself, and I get the cause, but I mean, even I have a problem doing it, just even for myself, like just for anything. And I mean, that's why it took a while. Why I'm kind of on here now, but I'm getting used to like being on here and talking. But for a long time, this is just weird. Like, oh, why am I doing this? And like, But the fundraising part, and I like how he didn't say like we don't care. I mean, we care about fundraising, but we don't want to call it fundraising. We want people to be engaged and everything else. When he corrects our other host, Kate. I don't know if she likes it too much, but I do like throwing that in there at her. But yeah, he corrected you. You got it. But yeah. Whew, been talking for a while. The call to arms. I said call of arms. I don't even know if anybody noticed. Probably only Kate. But call to arms event, which is pretty cool. I don't know if they're still doing that per se. Now that it's been a few weeks, obviously, since we've not only released the episode, but since everything's been done. I think they might have been. But I know that they're probably finishing up. I think they still have it on their Twitch channel about it. It's probably over with by now, but that's pretty cool event. I watched some of it. I saw it. Didn't get to participate. Obviously didn't participate. One day we were going to. I think it was one of the goals we were trying to set was to participate in like at least a charity stream for everybody. Not necessarily for us per se, but like we're the But Why podcast, and we're here to do this for them, like Deck Up or something. Or just anything, like the One Life. I think I talked about in the stream how I have, or I think it's this one. I might have talked about in DreamHack how I literally have friends who do Extra Life all the time. They don't stream at all. They probably have no idea really what Twitch is, watch Twitch, but they do at least do the one stream. And I think that just shows that some of this stuff isn't hard to do. It's just literally time and effort. I know I keep probably repeating that, but I feel like a lot of things in life can be done and solved from just time and effort. If you're willing to put the effort, put the time thing. I guess it's one of those, if you don't mind, it's like mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. And you can do things. Obviously, there are physical limitations, but I guess just overall pushing forward. I guess what we're trying to do with this podcast. We're doing more things. We started this up. I don't know how successful this thing's going to be, but I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to try to stream twice a week. I'm going to make sure I recap all these episodes. One day, hopefully, people listen to me. And if they don't, well, I'll have a lot of video content of me staring into a computer screen and talking. At least people know I'll be able to talk. But, yeah. People be surprised, like, when it comes to streaming. It's something that I thought about, but I never was like, I don't want to do this. Kate has wanted to do it. She started out very strong, but then I think she kind of realized that there's a lot more that goes into it. You always wonder, like, man, my favorite streamer is always late. Why is that? Because it takes a lot to set up things. Like us, we have the most simple one. We have very limiting, like, actual equipment. But two, it takes especially. But if you're going to do a lot of things, it takes a while. Like most of my streams, the first like 3 or 4 minutes is me literally just trying to check volume. Like I think it probably might be cut out of this episode. But earlier, basically, I've been talking for a few minutes, and then Kate was like, "Oh, your volume needs to be turned down a tad." Which one? Sorry, Kate, but you should tell me earlier. But two, it's just some things that you have to adjust, and things happen. Like you may sound fine, and things may change. And just much as I love technology, sometimes it can fail you. Or just sometimes you have to be able to adapt with it. Which he actually talks, I think, a little bit in the interview as well, is basically charities need to adapt to culture. I think I talked about with the whole band thing, but yeah. People aren't, just in general of everything. Whether it comes to how people treat music, concerts, what they're interested, more gaming now. They have, tabletop probably, they're big, but are they big as what they used to be, I guess? We have more technology to do a lot of stuff. People are streaming from their phones. You have Snapchat type things. People may not like it, and that maybe kind of a problem we've had with some of the culture stuff is people are just not willing to adapt, and eventually you have to adapt. Unfortunately, in biology, it's either you adapt or you die. I don't know if we're going to that extent with this, but that's how it works in biology. But yeah, power Twitch streams. Let's see. Next event, obviously we talked about the next event. They will actually be at E3. We will have this episode up hopefully tomorrow. Today is June 5th. So hopefully we'll have this up either tomorrow the 6th or sometime soon, depending on the editing. We're still learning how to edit it. We have the most amazing editor, but he is a super busy person. Apparently he's going on tour, so we're figuring that out. He's a very busy man. He's going on tour. He basically does his own production company. He's making a Doctor Who bar. I'm going to put that out there, and I hope he listens. We've been wanting pictures, and we know about this Doctor Who bar. We're excited and fascinated to see this. But, yeah. So, yeah, we've been kind of having to learn some editing ourselves. He'll still be doing a lot of stuff because he's way better than we are. But, just so we can kind of help him out, like, if we want to do something like this, to where we're able to edit it and try to make it as simple as it's why I chose Twitch in the first place, because it is live stream. We have a video, and hopefully we just have to cut and be done, and I don't have to worry about like doing all these fancy things. We're gonna have interactions. I might make mistakes. Things might go a little haywire, which is fine. That's what it is. We're rolling with it. But yeah, they'll be at E3, which is in June, next week, I believe, June 13th or 16th or something like that. I'm not gonna lie, I've missed E3. Few reasons. One, E3, I think it's dying. That's what I believe. I feel like I'm right, considering they're now opening to the public for the first time ever, apparently. And that's because basically people are like, we'll just have our own convention, or like, they've made it so like, not really like, they made it so like corporate-wise that people don't care anymore. Like, why go to E3? We can get all these announcements. I'm like, why? I don't really care. I can go to Bethesda's conference. I can go to Hi-Res's conference. I can go to, our convention, I guess, not really necessarily conference. I can go to, like, PAX South, PAX West, PAX East, TwitchCon. Why don't you go to E3? Especially it's in Los Angeles. I'm not a fan of Los Angeles. I want to go to the airport, but Los Angeles just seems like a place I don't want to go. I love big cities, but Los Angeles is not on the list. I don't know. Maybe one day somebody will prove it to me, but Los Angeles is not one of the places that I care to ever go to. Been to San Francisco, been to Seattle, Boston, San Diego, Miami, Orlando, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Lincoln. I don't know how I count that big, some of these Midwest cities, but like Oklahoma City, Buffalo, Charlotte, Charleston, because they're cool little places. Even they're unique. Even like I said, some of these Midwest ones are just like a capital, like Omaha or something. They're pretty cool in their own little way. Los Angeles, don't care at all. Don't care at all. But yeah. So I just feel that, and not gonna lie, I had to work during the summers when I used to do a plant class, field biology of plants. I kind of like ran labs and collected a bunch of plants and helped people on like tours. And so it always happened to be on the days when E3 was going on. So it was only like, it's like, oh, I only work like 2 days or 3 days a week, but it happened to be those 3 days exactly. It's always messed up. But yeah, I think between everybody doing their own convention, it's kind of just been like, and like I said, corporate-wise, sure, some people are excited, whatever. I enjoy the games, I enjoy stuff, but I don't know. People start talking about specs and like, do you not care about the technology and this and that? I'm like, I do, but here to like care about like what the game plays like, and is it fun, entertaining? I mean, these days I play so many free-to-play games that probably have the most horrible graphics and probably have so many bugs because they're still quote-unquote free-to-play or in trial preview mode, and I don't care because they're fun. Some of the games, I mean, do I like beautiful games? Obviously, but that's not going to make or break anything for me. I keep thinking about Ark when I say that. One, they're never going to release that full game. They dropped the ball. They started, no. But, like, the graphics are awful in that game. Awful. Even some of the old Elder Scroll games. Not so much the graphic, because, like, the scenery is great and whatnot. They made the game beautiful for a time, even, like, go back to Morrowind. But, like, watching the characters run before they decided, like, oh, I guess we have to put everything in third person. Awful looking. But, doesn't matter. They're fun to play. I mean, the funny thing about like watching PC gaming, especially like either actually when I played League of Legends for the longest time, I didn't even know what my characters looked like half time. My computer was so, I guess, bad, or just didn't put everything on high. I'm like, oh, look at that blue Smurf playing. Oh, I attacked the purple Smurf. Oh, there's a fat Smurf. Let's attack that thing. But yeah, that's how we played. But watching some pro gamers and other things, that playing on low settings where you don't get that great of the higher resolution is actually better, because it kind of cuts off some of the areas where you can see through the graphical screens, I guess, because like basically the bush, I guess the how things like, I guess, what's it called, comes into focus or comes on, you don't see it. It's like, so if I see a tree faster than you, that's cool, except for the fact if I don't see that tree, I'm able to see past that tree for a longer time so I can see people. But I wish I could remember the technical term. Anyways, but yeah, so like, yeah, it's whatever. Oh man, I've been going for a while here on this one, but I really like this one. So I think we're still trying to figure out our next event as a podcast. I think we're possibly thinking RTX, which is in Austin, Texas. Which I think in the interview it says where we are and whatnot. We're still not 100% sure. We're kind of disappointed. We kind of want to go to TwitchCon again this year, but it's in Long Beach, which I wanted to go to Long Beach, and I really want to go to California again, but one, they kind of jacked the prices up. They kind of hosed us on the whole release of the information like they're supposed to. Like, why did I subscribe with 5 different emails, and then you don't send me an email to let me know tickets are on sale? And then I think just flying into Long Beach is like 3 times more expensive than just flying in LAX, and they're like, oh, we'll just rent a car or do something else, and I'm like, well, it's an hour drive and that, no, and then I lose all my money renting a car. So I mean, the numbers could work, but it's like, whatever. Hey man, maybe mad because I waited for an email, because last year I literally got an email at 9 a.m. saying TwitchCon tickets are on sale. Awesome, be right back, guys. Bought it, got off. This year I didn't get home to work and they're all like 75% of them are gone. Like, oh, they're on sale today? Thanks for the update. I know you posted, and like, oh, we posted on Twitter. Oh, you mean that website? As much as I love Twitter, that rotates things every 35 seconds where I might never see anything, which I've learned I'm awful at Twitter. I tried at Twitter. It's fun. I enjoy it. I don't really have any followers, but I've learned, like, because you get the analytics, and I'm like, I tweeted something. I'm like, yes, it's awesome. Then I look at it. Oh, 3 people saw it. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, is that because that's probably A, because I don't have a lot of followers, but just how fast Twitter goes. It's very, very fast paced. And so unless something becomes, like, I guess, huge, you just don't see it. Don't come up. I mean, I bet there's so many great tweets out there that have been lost in the Twitterverse because of how people just fly, how fast it rotates. But don't worry. That's how we announce things these days, apparently. Hopefully you find it on Twitter in that 35 seconds before, depending on how many people you follow, it gets knocked off the stream. Or the feed fast enough. They do have algorithms now, which I'm not a fan of. Instagram algorithm, by the way, with what they did on that, horrible. Just put it by most. I don't even like Facebook's either. Put it by most recent. That's all I sort my thing by. I want to be able to see everybody's stuff. I want to see it in the order it came out. I don't want to see the most popular thing because somebody happened to do some stupid comment and I got to see the same stupid picture over and over and over again. Where's Meow? Anyways, going sidetrack again. Gotta get back to the military. Dack up. Let's do this. We're dagging up again. Sorry. But, yeah, so that's our next big event, obviously. I like the common language video games. I thought that was hilarious. If you're ever involved with Twitch, obviously people have a language Twitch between Kappa, the Bible Thump, which I have a Bible Thump t-shirt, some dog, I can't remember, and some other, can't even think what I'm talking about right now. But yeah, there's also like, we might hear us say it, I don't know. I know if someone play games, you know, they're code words, which I'm sure probably technically slang, but it also seems to be slang for like a lot of stuff in video games that happen, whether it be like RIP, like rest in peace, you died, or just like, you know, like I said, Kappa, that's hilarious, or something cool, you know, or mistakes, and trying to think, like now I can't even think off the top of my head. I talk about it all the time. Like, I guess when you mention the word, I don't even know if aggro is technically a word, honestly, in the dictionary. It might be, but I don't know how much, and definitely I don't know if it uses the actual correct term, how it's used in games, between aggro. Taunt definitely probably makes a totally different name than what it is. DPS is in the language, even though it just literally stands for damage per second, which I guess is technically like an acronym or whatever it's called, but yeah. Let me see if I have anything else up in here. So I'm looking. Been going for about an hour on this one, but I thought this one was very important. This is very important to us. Oh, I know what I forgot to do while I was doing this. So we did all this and whatnot, and then we had to come up with a name for all this stuff. Back to the name. See, this is how much I hate names. I always forget about it. And so we came up with missions that matter. Because one, we couldn't really think of anything. We're like, well, this matters. It goes with but why though, because we look at things that why they matter, and obviously things do matter that matter. And we like the word mission. One, obviously, you have some quote-unquote alliteration, missions that matter, M&M. But I believe, at least from my perspective and the way I look at it, mission means a lot more, at least in a current context. It usually means something difficult. Now, it's always true, but people say, like, I'm going on a mission, or I'm, you know, this is my mission. It's usually something that's, like, means they're, like, an extreme focus. This is going to be difficult. We're going to need a lot to accomplish this. We might never accomplish this, but this is my mission to do this. And that's why I like that word over, like, say, goal, or just something else. Gonna be like, oh, I set a goal. Guess what? I didn't eat pizza for a week. Cool. I'm going on a mission. I'm going to blow stuff up. Or I'm going to, like, I guess reference gamers or something. I'm going to, like, you know, I'm determined to go do this. It just seems have more emphasis, I guess, would be the correct word. But I enjoy that word more than some of the other words that possibly do it. Plus, like I said, we just thought it was fun. But no, we're gonna be a mini series, like I said. This is our first one. We did stackup.org. I want to thank again Steven Machuga. If you have not listened to the episode, please do. It's episode 19. It can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, our website, butwhythopodcast.com. Basically Stitcher, Google Play, any podcast app you can think of. Still waiting to see if there's somebody finds one that I'm not doing, or we're not on. Not 100% sure. Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap this up as well. See if there's anything going on in chat first. Not much. I get every now and then a little interaction, not much, but you know, main thing is I want to tell you anyways and talk. I mean, not that people want to hear me talk, and kind of seems like sometimes I'm rambling on, which is maybe true, but I at least like to stay in the focus of what we're doing with the episodes. And like the thing says, there's so many more things. Yeah. Find the episode. Stack up. This is episode 19. Stack up missions that matter. I don't know when exactly the next one we're going to be doing. I know next week, which will be released on June, I believe 7th from this day, depending on when it's due, would be NBA. We then will be doing, I believe, Wonder Woman. We've all already seen the movie. That will also be a recap, I believe, as well. doing esports, and then I think we're trying to figure out exactly who we're going to try to see who wants to come on. Hopefully, if you are interested in a charity or have suggestions or want to know anything, feel free to shoot us something at info@butwhythough.podcast.com. I think that's it. Let me make sure I got this right, because apparently last time wasn't great. I kept telling everybody email me and then realized not the email. Yeah, info@butwhythough.podcast.com. Or you can also either hit us up on any of our social media, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Also, please subscribe, review on iTunes. Everybody likes iTunes. Let's get them down on some iTunes. But anyways, I'm your host, one of the hosts of But Why Though. My name is Matt. You can find me on Twitter at DATM18, DATTM18. Thanks for having me. And that'll be a wrap for This Is the Other Side of the Wormhole on episode 19, Stack Up. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.